Yo guys, it's Axel back with another vid here today, and we're going to be talking about how to build Beidou. Now, I'm kind of a Beidou simp. I've been using Beidou for a while. I'm not going to lie. Beidou, me and her have been companions for a long time ever since I pulled her. Ever since I pulled her, I've been maining her for a while. Of course, I stopped maining her since I got Diluc and Tartagula, but I'm pretty experienced Beidou player. I have her level 80, thought about making her level 90, but too many resources for me. But this is the girl we actually wanted in Zinni Sim, but we didn't get. So in exchange for that, I'm going to be teaching you how to build Beidou. Now, I'm probably going to be doing this for pretty much all the characters in the game, so stay tuned for that and make sure to subscribe if you want to see that. But for now, we're starting off with Beidou. Now, first things first, when you're building Beidou, the main thing you want to do with Beidou is make her counters at least level 6. Now you can see mine is level 9 because, I got her a couple of constellations, something light. Of course, I don't have her level 5 because I usually pair her up with Tartaglia to give him that extra, +1. But, I just spend my other resources on something else, on some other characters, right? Now, of course, you want all of these to get some extra damage, right? Of course, that's obvious. Now, for the artifacts, if you're trying to build her as a DPS, this is what I suggest for a DPS. Now, this is what I've been using for a while, and I feel like this is really solid, It really comes down to, this is a perfect option if you want a solid build, easy to build, and really simple. Now, you want Electro and Gladiator Finals, 2-piece each. Now, for what you want on these stats is, of course, Electro damage for the counters, right? That's obvious. Now you want the gladiators, you want to run crit rate attack, this isn't the best artifact set, but I work with what I have. Now you got this, energy recharged for the ult, attack, elemental mastery. Now the reason you might see elemental mastery a lot of Beidou is I used to run her with Xinglang. Now, when you run Xinglang, I like to get overload damage, right? But I don't want to have this because, that kind of removes her, like, from her base attack, regular stuff, regular attacks. So you can see here crit damage, crit rate, regular attack stats, right? This is very simple. Now her weapon, I suggest this, Prototype Ammunius. Simple, everyone should be able to get it. I wasted one of mine on this white blind that I'll never use for Noel, but I make mistakes early in game, but I still have this, and this is what I use for when I run her as DPS. Now her talents are simple, get this to level 6. This is the main thing if you're trying to run her DPS or, support. Stormbreaker, this is iffy because it does give you extra electro damage as you can see here. See right here, energy cost, damage reduction, stuff like that, right? This is if you want to run her support, so I didn't really worry about this when I was making her DPS. So obviously this is your number one priority, the counters. Now if you're trying to run her as a support build, this is what I recommend, right? You give her Sacrificial Greatsword. That's obvious, right? You give her Sacrificial Greatsword because this is going to help her get her counters a lot faster. You're going to get it like quick, just like an instant, because it's going to instantly recharge if you get that, 40%. Now her artifacts, everything stays the same except for this. I'd suggest you run a Noblesse set just for that extra damage. Of course you can still stick with the gladiators, but I suggest Noblesse is obviously the better option for this. You lose attack and stuff like that, but you keep the Noblesse set for the extra, burst damage. Now for talents, if you're running your as support, you still want to have this as high as possible. This was going to be a must-have. Now, of course, you don't have to worry about the normal attacks as much, but if you're trying to run her getting the ult, because her ult is really good for someone like Tartaglia to give them that, like, electro conduct charge and stuff like that. So Stormbreaker is obviously going to be very necessary, so I suggest you level this up if you're running as a support. So I'm going to be doing a showcase of her as a DPS because no one wants to really see her as a support because, like, who wants to run Beidou as a support? She's a god, So I'm going to be showing her as a DPS in this gameplay because support you're not going to really see much. You're just going to see me countering. And I know my MOG highlights are pretty interesting, but we're going to start off with just her as a DPS. If you want to see me run her as a support later, I'll do that. Just leave that in the comments. Now we're going to go against the Oceanic fight. Now we're back at the Oceanic fight, and I like to run Beidou with this team, Fischl, Bennett, and Chi-Chi. It's very simple. You can swap out Chi-Chi for someone like Diona. Maybe not all of you have Chi-Chi, but some of you guys have bad luck, so you might have gotten Chi-Chi. but she's a good healer, reliable healer, gives you that cryo damage, gives you that superconduct and stuff like that, right? Official just for extra energy recharge. Bennett, for the extra attack. Yeah, you can swap out Official for someone else, but I like to get that energy recharge. And Bennett, he's a kind of a must-have if you're trying to run a good DPS team. So this is a team I like to run with. And let me show you the highlights of her fighting the Oceanic fight. Now, let me pull up to this kid that I've defeated like, I don't know, a billion times, but I just hate fighting him because it takes like 10 years to defeat him. Because of this, it literally has to charge up. Come on. Okay, here's the first water illusion. You really want to like pop out the official, get the chi, just go work, just get the extra electro damage. See, something like that. If I had my counter up, I'd have been able to do way more damage, but I wasted it. That's why if you're running DPS, you'd rather run it as a support. Use that shield for extra protection. That's something you can do. Now you want to do like this, get the Bennett, and look right here. A nice low 1k. I think that was 1k. Something like simple like this, right? Not too flashy. Oh snap, he died. Well, as you can see there, the more I hold the counter, the more it charges it up. Now, when you have it fully charged up, that's when it does the max damage. So you usually want to get hit twice with it. That's a pretty easy thing for Beidou. Now, the better you time the counter, is the better the attack will be. See, let me show you here. Like this guy, look at this. See how that did more damage than more beforehand? That's because the counter like got a lot more hits and I had to hold it down. Now that's what you want to do for Beidou most of the time. As you can see here, this is just for extra cryo damage. See, just gives me that extra 13k, right? It's pretty simple. Now I'm gonna have to defeat Official with these because they're in the air. See, that's pretty simple with Beidou, right? You get these counters, and the heavier these guys attack, the better the counter will be. Now, obviously, something like these boars, like right, if they attack me, look at it, an easy 30k. Oh snap, my Beidou almost died there. That's pretty simple. Now, Beidou, I don't think she's the best DPS in my opinion. I think there's better options, but I think she's a very reliable DPS if you're free to play. Because she pretty much offers us everything else, right? But the worst thing Beidou can be at is in these situations, right? See how none of them are attacking? Beidou is almost useless in this kind of situation. I have to use an archer to get these damage done. Now you might say, well, these situations might not happen, but this just shows the flaws of Beidou. Because right here, Beidou can literally do nothing. I'm being serious, like I can't literally do nothing. See, I barely able to reach him. Now that's probably the weakness of Beidou, is that in some areas she can't do anything. So now we wait for the Oceanic fight. Now I like to mention one thing. Beidou, her ult is not that useful as a DPS because it's not really that useful. I'm not gonna say it. Like when I use her as DPS, her ult is like the least thing you should worry about. The more thing you should be prioritizing is your counter. Like right here. What's that? Come on, attack me. There we go. See, something like that. That's what you want to do with Beidou. Let's do Official. Bennett. Okay, so as you can see there, if you like the gameplay of Beidou right there, you could see that it showed a lot of weaknesses in her Beidou's gameplay, and it showed a lot of strengths in it. When I got to be able to get that counter off, it obviously showed how good Beidou is. When she gets that counter off, and when she gets a good hits on her, when she's not in the counter form, Beidou is obviously a really good DPS. Now, when she doesn't get those counters off, she's kind of found useless. That's why I had to use Official when I'm fighting air-like opponents. Now, most of the time you won't be fighting air opponents, but that's something she can't do. But Beidou, if she doesn't have her counter up, she just becomes a regular, DPS. Doesn't really have anything special, just does normal attacks. Now, I realize you haven't subscribed yet. You watched this whole video and you haven't subscribed? It's crazy. Subscribe. I'll wait for you. You haven't subscribed yet? Alright, I'll wait for a little longer. Make sure you like. Alright. So, if you like this video, tell me who you want to see a build for next. Now, I'm probably going to go through every single one of them, but if you have someone you really want me to see next to build, I'd love to hear your suggestions. Now, I have a lot of people build. I have a lot of people at level 80 and 70 and 90, stuff like that. So if you want to see anyone build, or you want me to build up some characters I don't use, like someone like, I don't know, Ningguang or Razor, if you want to see me build them and tell you how I feel about their gameplay, let me know. Because I'm going to do these for all the characters, right? For Beidou, I showed you her support build was, pretty simple support build. I showed you her DPS build, and I showed you her DPS build in action. So if you liked the video, make sure to like the video, and like I said, subscribe. And peace.